What is the Electoral College? That's rhetorical. If you live in America, I hope you know, but I'll tell you anyway. The Electoral College is basically an overlaying system of electors which determines the results of our presidential elections based on the popular vote counts in all of our states. So let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, California has, 50 million, 40 million? I don't know. A bunch of people in it, and the majority vote blue. And then those popular vote counts, that doesn't determine the president. Instead, California's electors, the Electoral College votes, instead go to the candidate which represents the will of the majority of the popular vote in that state. And the system seems like a needless complication, and in some cases it is, especially when you get to complexities like faithless electors, or there are split districts as well in Nebraska and Maine, and it gets really weird, yeah, but the ultimate sort of consequence of the Electoral College is thusly. It is a crutch for the Republican Party. See, every state handles this differently, but the initial point of the Electoral College was actually, if I remember it correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, to accommodate the technological limitations of the United States of America back in its early days when we didn't have things like telephones. See, America's a big country. You got states all over the goddamn place. And if you want to elect a president, you really think they're going to try and assemble ballots from all over the states? Like, all over the goddamn place? I'll talk about 3/5, don't worry. That's really difficult. What's easier, instead, is if you collect all of those ballots within a state, and then people from that state, electors, are then representatives of the popular vote count, and they go ahead and they elect the president. And yes, of course, there's also the slavery element, because for the purposes of the I know the slavery. Holy shit, stop fucking spamming it. You think I don't know about the fucking 3/5 compromise? The fucking Electoral College was not initially designed specifically to protect slavery. It just ended up being molded to that purpose. Jesus fucking Christ. The 3/5 compromise, which I'm sure you've all heard about, essentially indicated that the electoral counts from a state would be increased by 3/5 for every one slave within the territory of that state. So if more electoral counts come from states with a higher population, what do you do if like 2/3 of your state's population are slaves? Slaves aren't citizens. At least they weren't ye back in the day. So if you only have like 100,000 citizens and then 200,000 slaves, you really think those 100,000 slave owners or friends of slave owners are going to want to get electoral representation proportional to 100,000 people or 300,000 people? No. The 3/5 compromise was the middle ground. It wasn't saying black people were 3/5 of a person, because that would be an improvement of what they were previously, which was 0% of a person. It's actually worse than that. The 3/5 compromise emboldened slave owners, not slaves. It was specifically to give slave owners a greater degree of electoral power. And, you know, rooted in those origins of racism, we find ourselves in the Electoral College of today, where, if I remember correctly, in Wyoming, your vote counts about 4 times more than your vote in California. Why? Well, electoral college voters, the electors, are not distributed to states based only on a proportion of their 3.6 times, thank you, are not sent to states based only on a proportion of their population. It's disproportionate. I'll give you an example, okay? Here, we'll draw it up, okay? Let's give it a good go, okay? Let's say, there you go. What's a stream without a paint stream, huh? All right. Let's say you have go smaller. Let's say you have a state with 10 million people, as represented by the 10M, thank you, and a state with 1 million people. Keep in mind, there's a huge difference in the population of different states. California, I think, is like 36 or 40 million people in it. There are states with like 500,000 people in it. Sometimes the variance is tremendous. Now, if we were going by a popular vote system, if we were going by a pure popular vote system, this state would have 10 times the power of this state when it comes to determining the president, right? Yes, that is how math works. But, again, It is not the popular vote that determines the outcome here. It is instead the elector count. So what if instead you had a situation where you had 10 electoral college votes from this state and you had 2 from this state? Well, I mean, the bigger state still has more influence, certainly. It has 10 to 2. But that means, in a pragmatic sense, that the state with 1 million people, every individual vote counts for double what these count for. Which is a little wacky when you think about it. It would be 12 minus 3 because you get 2 minimum from senators. Do you understand what a fucking quick example is with quick numbers? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you people in chat. Holy fuck. I'm literally just trying to explain disproportionate representation. I'm going to fucking kill you and myself, okay? Who's watching this? This is now the fucking Ring video, okay? All of you are now cursed. In 7 days, you're all fucking dead, okay? In a video game. In a movie. In a movie. So what is the problem with this exactly? Well, who does the president represent? Let me ask you people. Does the president represent land, the states, or the people? 1, 2, or 3? Give me an answer. 1, 2, or 3? It's 3. I can't even read it. It's moving so fast. The president represents the people of the United States. President represents capital. Fuck off, all you fucking smarmy fucking lefties. I thought I taught you better than that. Listen, why do Republicans defend the Electoral College? It is, in fact, because the Electoral College is a crutch for the Republican Party. Why? Because there are more Republicans proportionally in states with lower populations. Why? Because states with lower populations have a greater percentage of the voters within that state in rural areas as opposed to in cities. Cities tend to be disproportionately Democratic. Why? Because cities tend to have populations which have a better access both to multicultural social experiences and to education. Why? Because that's what happens when you congregate people in a small area. So how do Republicans defend the Electoral College? We're going to run off every single one of these examples, and then we're going to debunk all of them, okay? Actually, we'll do it one by one, okay? First one, and you've all heard this, haven't you? The first defense is tyranny of the majority. Tyranny of the majority. Do you really want 60% of the population being able to tyrannically dictate the will of the rest of the country? First of all, the Electoral College doesn't fix that, because the Electoral College allows it for 40% of the country to dictate to the rest of the 60%. That doesn't fit. The Electoral College does nothing about tyranny of the majority, because the alternative in a highly polarized political environment to 60% ruling over 100% is 40% ruling over 100%. And if we're going to have one group of people in charge, I would rather it be the one that represents a greater number of people, okay? The Electoral College does not fix the tyranny of the majority problem. You know what does? Minority rights. Something that Republicans are generally not in favor of unless it specifically protects them. That's what they're for. The point of the tyranny of the majority is that without sufficient legal protections, a majority are capable of enforcing dictatorial rule on a minority, which is why you give protections to things minorities are typically discriminated against. How about black people? There are more white people than black people in this country. We have things called protected classes. An employer can't fire you because of your race, not just because you're black, but because if you're white either. We do the same thing with sex, veteran status, nationality, whatever. Important. The Electoral College does literally nothing to address tyranny of the majority. So anytime somebody brings up tyranny of the majority, we don't want to be ruled by a bunch of coastal elites, you can discard their opinion. It's worthless. It's useless. Go out. It means absolutely nothing. Go out there and vote. True. Second point of contention. I don't like it that all these little states get ignored. All these little states get ignored. What, so you want presidents to only pay attention to New York and California and Texas? I would like the president to pay attention to the people, and New York, California, and Texas are where the people are. Sorry. The myth that the Electoral College benefits small states is just wrong. I'm sorry. How much did Trump campaign in Wyoming over the past year? What about Idaho? What about North Dakota? No? No? They just campaigned in the swing states because swing states are the only things that matter in an electoral college system, because the leanings of the majority of states are already predetermined. States like Florida and Texas, which is now a swing state apparently, and Ohio and Virginia and Pennsylvania and Michigan, and you think they're going to go to Wyoming? What even is Wyoming? Under an electoral college system, the only states that get paid attention to are swing states. That's it. Why would a Democrat, or a Republican for that matter, ever waste time in California? Why would they ever waste time in North Dakota? Why? Why would they? Why would they ever waste their time in these places? It would be a waste of their time because your vote is guaranteed, motherfucker. You live on the plantation. You know how Candace Owens talks about like the Democratic plantation? You live on the plantation, motherfucker. If you live in any of these little red states or any of these big blue states, your vote is accounted for. Your vote is a guarantee to them. They don't give a fuck about appealing to you. They know you're going to come back to them. Whereas in a popular vote system, every Republican vote in California means something again. You would want to enfranchise people everywhere. It would force our elected representatives to actually be interested in the will of the people, because now Republicans in California get a say and Democrats in Texas get a say. The elites want the Electoral College to stay because it forces them to narrow their interest to a very select group of swing states with highly, highly contested districts while ignoring like 90% of the country. And I don't think that's very democratic, frankly. And then what's the other argument you hear from Republicans? Well, I just think that, it's important for smaller states to, to have more of a say, because otherwise they'll just get ignored by like the big states. Kind of also a repetition of the majority, the tyranny of the majority argument. Let me give you 2 points here. First of all, the president doesn't represent individual states. It represents the people. Motherfucker, if you want good local representation, pay attention to your governor. Pay attention to your down ballot. Pay attention to your fucking state senate and state congress. Pay attention to your mayor. Pay attention to your fucking sheriffs. Pay attention to people who work for you directly in your state. The president represents the people of America. The president should not be held to account to a disproportionate degree of influence from fucking flyover states, okay? If you don't like that, then vote for better state representatives. Really sorry, that's not the president's job. He is not there to represent your state above other states. He's there to represent the people. If more people live in Florida or more people live in California, that's where the people are. He's still representing the people. That's how it is. You complain, well, it's just Californians and New York, it's coastal elites. Yeah, that's where the people are, motherfucker. If you think that, then coastal elites are the people of America. A lot of Republicans like to pretend that, like, Californians aren't Americans. Motherfucker, they're just as American as you are. Their votes count just as much as yours, and I guarantee you, if the fucking roles were reversed and all of America was concentrated into the heartland, with only a couple of people bordering out in the fringe fucking coastal states because of global warming raising the fucking oceans or something like that, guarantee you, you motherfuckers would not be talking about disproportionate representation for Californians, okay? But here's the final point. You're asking for affirmative action. That is literally, directly, exactly what you are asking for. You are asking for affirmative action for people who live in small states. That is exactly what you're asking for. You're saying that because they are a minority and because they are socially disrepresented, you want them to have a disproportionate amount of power. In fact, what you're asking for there is more significant than what affirmative action actually does for real-life human beings. But as long as we're going down that road, fine. Because you know who's far more disproportionately misrepresented than rural states? Black people. I propose all black people's votes be worth twice as much. They get a disproportionate influence on the Electoral College. What about Native American people, indigenous people? They're like the most fucked of all when it comes to ethnic groups in the history of America. I'd say they should get 6 times. If being a Wyoming dipshit gives you 3.6 times the voting power of a Californian, I think being a Native American should give you like 8 times. I think it's pretty solid. I would say that, listen, as much as Wyoming is Wyoming, I would say being Native American probably means you're quite a bit more marginalized than other ones. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, give it to them, you know? Trans people? Oh, baby, you people are about to be a fucking power block. Even Republicans are going to have to be capitulating to your fucking political needs with how many votes you're going to be getting. Absolutely, we're bringing it up. Guys, the Electoral College is affirmative action for rural states. It's that simple. Your argument for, we're marginalized and we deserve not. Fuck you, okay? You fucking snowflake. No. One person, one vote. The popular vote. That's how it should be done. And we can do stuff like ranked choice voting too, or, you know, I would love that as well. I'm not throwing that out there. I'm not saying first past the post, the good system here. I'm just saying the Electoral College fucking sucks. The Republican Party is smaller than the Democratic Party. When was the last time Republicans won the popular vote? I think they've won it once out of the past 7 elections. Democrats are more popular than Republicans. 2004, thank you, post 9/11 America. Ugh. That was the last time out of the past 7 elections. Past 8 elections, sorry, yeah, because we just had another one. Yeah. Look at that. Sorry, Republicans, you're just not popular. See, the purpose of an electoral party in a democracy is that they adopt certain positions and nominate and elect certain representatives that are meant to represent the will of the people, and that will, that interest, turns into votes, and those votes keep them in power. That's not how the Republicans stay in power. The Republicans stay in power by making sure as few people vote as possible. They'll disenfranchise, they'll get rid of ballot boxes, they'll fuck with the laws, they'll file lawsuits, they'll do everything in their power to keep people from voting. That's how the Republicans work, because they know that their main base, which is wealthy, older white people, are always going to vote no matter what, and nothing's going to stop them. They live for voting. For old white Republicans, voting is their fucking Christmas, okay? They have, like, presents they open up underneath, like, a big tree they've made of, like, shredded, like, discarded ballot papers. It's all they think about all year, okay? Whereas the hip and happen and fresh youth in fucking UCLA or fucking New York or whatever, they're just all about the streetwear, okay? They're about the bippin' and the boppin'. They're about TikTok, you know? They've got a lot on their mind. They're hippin' and hoppin'. They're busy people. What if the majority within red states don't like the country anymore? Is this not a problem? Get over it. I've never liked this country. They can fucking live with it. Also, the only reason I don't like this country is because of people like them, okay? They ruined it for me, all right? Whatever the case may be, yeah, you're asking for affirmative action. Chill the fuck out. The Electoral College fails in every respect. It fails democratically. It doesn't do the things for the smaller states that you say it does. The only thing that it effectively accomplishes is boosting Republican votes disproportionately. That's it. It's anti-democratic. Sorry, you guys fucking suck. Sorry you can't win elections through the popular vote. Very sorry. Big losers. Sad. Very sad. So sorry. And we're going to get rid of it, folks. We're going to get rid of the Electoral College. You're going to be so mad you're never going to win a fucking election again. Why would anyone vote for you, stupid piece of shit, anyway? You fucking Republican piece of shit ruin this country worse and worse every single time you get in power. There's a reason why people don't vote for you, you know. Sad. You're going to be tired of winning. I've talked about the Interstate Voter Compact. I always forget the full name. Interstaco Pro, whatever the fuck it's called, before. But essentially, it's a plan to circumnavigate Napo Vo Interco. Yeah, thank you. It's essentially a plan to circumnavigate the Electoral College completely without any kind of higher national care, which is pretty awesome. Get rid of the Senate too. That's for another segment, okay? Do you guys know about the thing? Well, there's a great video on it from CGP Grey, but I'll give you the 30-second rundown, okay? Are you ready for it? So, let's say you have an election, okay? Are you right? Are you ready for it? Let's say you have an election, okay? And you have 180 million red votes and 201. This is more votes than we even have in the United States. Just You have 180 million red votes and 201 million blue votes, okay? Makes sense? Everyone following so far? Fantastic, thank you. So here's the thing. We have in our great... That's America. No, it's not. We have in our great United States of America 50 states, okay? Amongst them are distributed 538 electoral college votes. Now, let's say that a law is passed, okay? A law is passed in multiple states, one after another, and that law will only take effect in all the states which pass that law when the total number of states that have done so exceed 270 electoral college votes. Does that make sense? So let's say you have a block of states, let's say about 30 of them, and together, all of them equal 270 electoral college votes. Now remember, it's 270 to win. All you need is 270 electoral college votes. That's it. So if all of these states together decide to vote one way or another, that decides the election every time. It doesn't matter what the other states do. This decides the election. So what if all these states, these 270 electoral college votes, collectively passed a law that they would only ever give their electoral votes to whoever won the popular vote? So even if half of the states within these 30 voted red majority because blue won the popular vote, these 270 electoral votes would go towards blue. Does that make sense? Essentially, it's a system to use the Electoral College to defeat the Electoral College. You circumnavigate the Electoral College. Let me see. How far along are we? Intel. That's not. Interstate voting. Give me the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. This is what it looks like, people. And it's already underway. Already 196 electoral college votes have affirmed their participation, and there are legislation pending in 60 electoral college votes worth. This red line right here, that's the tipping point for 270. The green is what we've already done. The yellow is what we're currently working on. If we succeed in doing so, here are the states that have done so: Oregon, New Mexico, Delaware, Colorado, Connecticut, New York, Rhode Island, California, Vermont, D.C., Massachusetts, Washington, Hawaii, Illinois, New Jersey, and Maryland. If we get enough to tip over that 270, that's that, people. That's it. No more electoral college. So we can only hope. I'm sure, of course, that if this actually happens, people are going to be losing their shit about the undemocratic distribution of electoral college votes. But sorry, if you hate that so much, you should just abolish the electoral college, because what's happening right here is totally legal. States are not legally obligated to give their electoral college votes in alignment with the voting will of the population within that state.